Best FPS game.
Borderlands 3, I will crush you all.
Borderlands,
I will crush you all.
This one. No, this is my 12-man jury. This is my 12-man jury.
Allow me, as Blake's close friend and confidant, to make Blake's argument for Borderlands 3. You guys, it's the third one.
It's the fourth one.
It is actually the fourth one.
Technically, it's the fourth one.
Technically, it's the fourth one.
If Tales from the Borderlands counts, it's like the ninth one if you count each episode.
Oh yeah, each episode, yeah.
Huh.
Well, this is complicated. Well, I guess that's not it.
Freaking, oh my god, it's just so goddamn good. There is so much to do.
Let's name other FPSs that came out this year.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
That's not an RPG.
That's a first-person RPG.
Huh?
Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare came out this year.
Outer Worlds.
Apex Legends.
Modern Warfare is really good.
Yes.
You
Apex
can
Legends
get
came
through
out.
Outer Worlds without really shooting it.
Problematic is all shit, but Modern Warfare is actually really good.
I would actually specifically say that Call of Duty Modern Warfare multiplayer is the best FPS of the year.
There's that.
My argument against Outer Worlds would be that it's not a first-person shooter. It's a first-person perspective role-playing game.
I would argue more as an RPG, just because I'm not shooting as much as I'm talking about how to fight.
That's why I say
You can beat that game without firing a bullet.
Josh called Borderlands 3 a masterpiece.
Masterpiece.
I mean, it is.
Ian, what did you call Rage 2?
It's not perfect by any means, but...
He said
Rage
definitely not
2.
resuscitate.
Rage 2 was the last flutter of life in
And
the
it's
fucking
software.
ECG. They should have just let that shit flatline back on Rage 1.
Oh my goodness.
Man.
Rage 2 is a crapster piece.
This man.
It's the Dane Cook of Borderlands.
Yes.
That's what Rage 2 is.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a box code for you.
So...
honestly, Borderlands 3, it looked gorgeous. It's super duper fun. They've actually put stuff in the world to do outside of the missions, so you have more reasons to explore and look around. You actually go to new worlds. The new worlds look awesome. All of the new classes are a great combination of the classes from the previous two games.
Classes
like
are so much fun.
Yeah, the classes are really fun to work with. You get a lot more options now. They changed things up in the loot and shoot so that you can either choose to do it classically, where everybody goes for like whatever loot they can get their hands on, or everybody gets their own spawns, like personal spawns.
Instance loot.
Yeah, they made it so like now you can upgrade the vehicles, like more customization options for the characters and the vehicles. You know, it's a really and I'm just saying, like, it looks so good in HDR. Like, I've been playing it in HDR on the PS4 Pro, and it looks fantastic. The sheer amount of weapons that you've been able to find in the game before was awesome, but this time they've really made more of an effort to make sure that each producer of weapons has something really unique about the way that their guns operate, and they've added a lot of unique bonus characteristics to everything. Alt fires, mantling, like there's a lot of improvements that were actually made to the gameplay as well. And I mean, and obviously I'm freaking biased. I love the Borderlands series, and like the one thing I will say is I feel like the story was better in 2.
Yeah, but that's a separate category. You're just looking at first-person shooter games.
Yeah, but I mean, just as far as like the quality of the game and the action and the gameplay.
First and foremost, it is a shooter looter, right? Like,
yeah,
that's the centerpiece.
Yeah, like if you forget the story and you're just talking about like the core gameplay mechanics, I really think that Borderlands 3 took it like leaps and bounds beyond what like previous.
You don't have to give a shit about the story. You just have to watch the unskippable cutscenes.
I like the Aftercharge. I still think that game is awesome.
Unskippable cutscenes in 2019.
That's a crime.
No, it's not, but I still think it's
okay, so I'm just going to give our absentee ballots and also Sam. Sam, you marked down Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Yeah, but I want to change that to Borderlands 3.
Don't do it, Sam!
Wow.
Don't do it, Sam!
Been converted.
There you go.
Wait,
Sam has changed his vote.
Alright, all I want to know is who's coming with.
Bill picked Apex Legends.
Okay.
Chris Gerard picked Metro Exodus.
Okay.
He'll down that hill by
based on the chart. He's like, nope, it's bad. I'll pick that one.
Brittany.
How can I disrupt the system?
Brittany picked Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So that's 2 votes for Call of Duty. 3.
So, Sam, let me talk to you about Modern Warfare today.
Do we have to?
Okay, so
Sam said Borderlands 3 though.
Yeah, he changed his vote to Borderlands 3, so it's 2 votes for COD, whatever.
Madub.
Muddy Warfare 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rehash
Ion
Warfare.
Fury came out this year.
Yeah.
What?
Just want to give a shout out to Ion Fury.
Yeah. Ion Fury, for those who aren't familiar, is a retro-style FPS by 3D Realms made in an expanded build engine. It's really damn good.
Yeah. I loved it.
I would say it has the best level design of any build game. Even more so than Duke 3D, which to me was kind of the standard bearer. Like I liked Blood, I liked Shadow Warrior, but I didn't think they could touch Duke in terms of level design. Ion Fury takes what was great about Duke 3D episodes 1 and 3, these real world locations, and just makes them super fun to explore.
And the destructible environments and stuff.
Destructible environments. The weapons are great.
Yeah.
Ion Fury is much more my speed than most contemporary shooters.
Same. But when I'm looking at contemporary shooters, I'd probably lean towards BL3. I like things that aren't trying to be real.
Yes.
And I think that COD tries too hard to be real. And they trip over themselves at times.
From what I've heard also, like, they, correct me if I'm wrong, you played the narrative of this game, right?
Yes.
Okay. They do some stuff with the storyline that try to whitewash, probably literally.
No, they do, and that's
why there's no way in hell this is FPS Game of the Year. This is like, Russia occupied all those brown countries.
Well, specifically, they take a very unfortunate event and try to that was carried out by the U.S. military and try to paint it as the Russians were the ones doing it, the bad guys.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like, there's no way. Yeah, I don't understand how we could give that an award.
We're not talking about the narrative; we're talking about the gameplay of itself. Though.
No, this is that's part of the game.
Yeah.
Borderlands 3's story isn't as crappy as
it's not as good as Borderlands 2, but it's definitely better than Modern Warfare.
No, I was going to say that Borderlands 3's crappy story isn't as bad as Call of Duty Modern Warfare's revisionist history.
Yeah.
That's stuff kind of
that's fair.
Bothers me. But also what Blake said, like, basically, you could take or leave the story in Borderlands. The gameplay and the systems more than make up for that.
Yeah, all the stuff
I would say that's similar for the multiplayer in Modern Warfare. I leave that narrative behind because it is a black.
And 95% of people who buy that game don't play the single player.
David, do you remember the mission No Russian, the iconic mission? That was like such a shocking thing. In Modern Warfare, they have like 7 of those shocking moments. So you become numb to it. You're like, oh, another really controversial, shocking moments.
Yeah, I don't think we should praise a game where you become numb to moments like that.
Yeah, it's really bad. We're trying really hard to do that.
So, it's just like, I am interested in hearing, like, what do you feel elevates this year's multiplayer from last year's and the year before?
The Gunsmith is pretty good.
The Gunsmith is good. The maps are pretty dang good. Like, they actually went out of their way to break a certain standard in this type of shooter where, like, it's often been a 3-lane map where, like, people are just like they're funneled into these choke points, and they actually took the time to build maps this time around where it's just like there is no choke points there. Well, there are conflict points.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a lie.
But
they're larger.
But they're much more. But they're much more open and they're much more strategic, in my opinion.
And the bigger maps are really good. The bigger maps are like 10, 20 players, a lot of fun.
But if you do
have
to
still a long way to go, but they're better than
I'm voting for Borderlands.
But if you do have to
so it's Borderlands
take
3.
the campaign involved, then yeah, I can't vote
so it's Borderlands. It was never going to be Modern Warfare. But it's good to know.
Yeah. This discussion to me is more interesting than the awards themselves.
Like,
so yeah, I will
out of all the games I've played this year, like, just as far as like the games that I go back to, it takes a lot to get me to go back to a game if I'm not working on it. And Call of Duty is one of those games that just like it's enjoyable to just pick it up and play some matches of TDM or play some matches of Headquarters.
Yeah. And time goes by relatively quick when you play it too. You can play it for 4 hours, not even feel like you're playing it for 4 hours.
And I feel like it was like a breath of fresh air this year, in a year where battle royales are so heavy, and it takes so long to get through a battle royale.
Yeah.
The COD series needed Modern Warfare, like the multiplayer, not the campaign, but it needed the multiplayer.
So I vote for Call of Duty Modern Multiplayer. Fuck that story.
Donovan.
Oh yeah, I'm a Modern Warfare. It's the most fun I've had in an FPS this year.
Okay.
Josh, did you have?
I mean, personally, I'm gonna vote for Borderlands just because I had a lot of fun with that, but I think it's definitely worth expanding on why I think that Chris chose Metro Exodus.
Yeah.
Exodus. It's a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
Not my favorite Metro game ever, but like the previous titles, like the shooting it's very tight.
They kind of adopted more of an open world. It's still
But
kind
I
of...
You mentioned that's what you didn't like.
I think that's
wasn't
worked
it?
against
the open world.
I did not like the open world,
Yeah.
personally, because for me, like, and maybe it's just because, like, for me, the Metro series was always about that claustrophobic feeling.
Yeah, it's about those
And
dark
you still
tunnels.
have that in some portions of the game, but you lose a lot of that in the open world.
I agree.
And, like, there's a lot of cool little features in it and all that, and, like, it's cool. But I really liked that's what defined the Metro series for me, was that claustrophobic feeling of what's hiding in the darkness in front.
It is weird being above ground in that game.
It is very weird.
But I like it, and I think they did a good job with it, too. But
They did. But Borderlands 3 is just phenomenal. Like, it's great. It's just more Borderlands, which some people... people have called out. No, as people have called out in YouTube videos making fun of our review. You know, it's just more of the same. Like it's more of the same.
Now.
It's more of the same. Listen, you want to joke about that, but mantling is actually a pretty pivotal change for Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
Like it allowed so much more room for great level design.
Yeah.
It really did.
Yeah. I remember that the free trial came a few weeks ago, and I've been hooked ever since. So I'm pretty into Borderlands 3 right now.
Blake asked
It's
if you
just
wanted
fun.
a 2K game. You didn't ask for Borderlands 3.
BL3,
Yeah.
BL3, BL3,
Yeah, we have
BL3,
Sam's BL3 too.
Sam's BL3.
Yeah.
It's BL3.
I'm also on the BL3 tip, so it's close. But your terrible taste in FPS was thwarted by the good people at Shacknews.
And 2K, I guess.
Terrible
I see that.
taste.
5.
Borderlands.
That's 3. Get it?